lot of your productions are, you've got a lot of repeat clients here. I mean, you've really done, you're working with 5-album, 6-album artists here. I mean, as a producer, how do you motivate an artist that's made 5 albums, and you want them to go in a different direction, or you want to inspire them to do something? Which bag of tricks do you turn to for that?
You see, I think the only thing that you can turn to is the material. There's nothing else. It's not the production as such. Production as such is something that I don't think I really do. I think I sort of try and get good performances out of people and make it sound good, and maybe help a lot with the arrangements musically. But I'm not terribly good whiz-bang producer with effects and stuff, and making sound, making things happen like that in production. I don't do that. So to me, production is the right material arranged properly. That's production, or almost pre-production, and that's what I enjoy doing most. So when you come to somebody, well, take Barb Younger for instance. Every one of our albums are utterly different, and that's because I guess we sit down, or Barb sits down and comes up with some new harebrained scheme to do Elvis songs. Played almost like a still life, with tiny piano chords that just repeat and real minimalist stuff. But it works, of course, for her. It's great.
And do you get involved with the arrangement?
No, actually, in those albums, that's Adrian York does a lot of the work in that, and I really only come in to kind of tie it together and make sure it's performed as beautifully as it can be.
So you don't play on Nazareth's records anymore?
Not any longer. No.
Where did they come in? This is the man who's an audiophile.
Yeah, great.
Do people still mention that?
Oh, it was just this. Oh, I can't say it, but anyway. Great fun. Yeah.
And we're sitting in a new state-of-the-art studio.
Lovely.
But you ran one of Scotland's best-known studios, Castle Sound, and owned it for 24 years.
Yeah.
What made you sell up?
24 years?
Yeah.
That would be why. Too much. Just too much. I didn't want to run a studio anymore. I don't feel the need, Not when I can persuade somebody to do it for me.
Do you feel suddenly liberated now?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I've got my little mixing room at home, and a little music room there, and that's fine for finishing stuff off. But Stuart's built this great place. Castle Sound is still going, steaming along. You can't book in, it's so busy. That's the thing. If it's a decent place, there aren't many places anymore that are good, and people appreciate it. As simple as that, and the work will come. I'm convinced of that. There's room for it.
Do you think there's a sense that there has been a very big cull of facilities?
Total.
And those that have kept their head above water
would
reap the
I'd love to
rewards?
think that they would. I would love to think so. I mean, I know a lot of people are still struggling, and there's some studio. I'm so fond of places like Livingston, for instance, in London. Jerry Boyce's place. Done a couple of records, 3 records there, I think, and I just love places like that. I really do. I like them. I just want to see them keep going somehow.
You love facilities like that. Is there anything that really annoys you about the music industry apart from that?
I wouldn't know where to start. There are so many positive and great things go on as well, but record courses at college and university, how to be a record producer. Give us a break. That's not going to happen. I got a thing from the SQA through the post the other day, Scottish Qualifications Authority. Dear Mr. Malcolm, wonder if you could, whatever it was, can't remember, grace us with your presence. Cast your eye over this new course, How to be a Record Producer, HND. Well, I don't think so. I mean, that doesn't add up to me. It's like, there are How to Be Pop Star courses now, and you can't do that. You can't learn all that stuff. You just have to go and do it, and you really have to want to go. Everyone wants to do it because they think it's glamorous. It's become one of those horrible industries and there are no jobs. I think there were 2 jobs in Scotland, and there are 20,000 students at the moment doing these courses. Is that about right? In the UK? I think I might be right. How many jobs? It's not going to happen. It's a disaster. They just need to sharpen up and stop all this rubbish.
You're very much a producer now. If you look down the pop and rock credits, you're mainly producing. Are you still doing all the engineering yourself? Or?
I do. Yeah, because it's quicker. It's as simple as that. By the time you've asked somebody, you might as well have done it yourself. You know, you should have explained whatever it is you're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's as well doing it.
Do you ever work with a Pro Tools operator?
Well, even that, I have to say I find it painfully slow because you kind of just want to go do that. Yeah. And I can't work Pro Tools very well. I mean, Stuart will tell you. I mean, I'm okay.
You're very good. You're just
I'm okay at it, but I'm not a whiz by any means. But I've worked with whizzes. Stuart's a whiz for a start. Magnificent. But the trouble is, I find and I'm not levelling this just at Pro Tools, but all of these systems, one of the problems is that they're very much a one-man operation, and they exclude other people in the room a lot, and that's the musicians and the producer, because one person is in front of it, you can't see what's happening. You don't really need to see, because in tape we never saw, but and it's less of a problem in a situation like this where we have a console and you can actually see things kicking up in a meter, and you can see faders, so you kind of, you know, it's all part of what you're hearing and you understand it. If you're using Pro Tools where it isn't connected to something like this, I haven't got a clue what's going on. You don't know what you're hearing, and you also don't know what the person who's operating it is doing at the time, because they could be zoomed in on something without the screen scrolling, doing a bit of editing, and you're listening to something else and you're going, what the fuck is he doing? And then you realise that, he's not doing that, he's doing the chorus before. And I think, but I don't want, you know what I mean? You don't know what's happening. You don't see what's happening. I find that absolutely infuriating. Stuart does it all the time, not you, Stuart H. You know, he'll be doing something.
The wrong bit.
And I find it quite distressing, so I try to work it myself most of the time. And it's fine. I mean, it is fairly good. If you're working in MIDI, it's quite quick. If you're not working in MIDI, it's a total pain. If you happen to be wanting to edit something that's not to a grid,
yeah,
you know, it's slow.
Do you you mentioned earlier about enjoying performance, enjoying the performance side, and you've worked with a lot of bands like the sort of audiophile side of rock, like the Blue Nile, are a very good example. Do you find it's tempting now you've moved to the digital domain to actually cut and paste and start using the...
No, I don't.
You still make them play it all the way through?
Every time. Every time. I mean, that band...
It's not allowed.
I just don't do it. I had a band in here, Aberfeldy, a really lovely bunch of people, and it's an up-and-coming popular beat combo. And they had a fair amount of repetition in all that they did, and the backing vocals and kind of stuff they were doing, which would have lent itself perfectly. But I mean, what's the point? Because I think you tune out anyway. I think if you hear exactly the same thing twice, it's not. It doesn't register the same. It just doesn't. And I'd rather it was a bit different, and that they should sing it again and do it. So I'm rigorous about that. I never do that. I might move something because I think it might sound weird somewhere else. That's good. That's what non-linear stuff's all about. Being able to, put something bizarre somewhere and make something that unexpected happen.
Yeah.
So I don't just treat it as a tape machine. Definitely, it's great to be able to move things around, do all that. But I wouldn't cut blocks and paste songs together. You can get a program for £12. I'll do that. Listen, you know what I did? I bought Logic.
Oh yeah.
Proper Logic about 3 years ago. £700 or something it cost. And I went to W.H. Smith's at Christmas to look for a Christmas present for my daughter. And they had it for $15.99.
Oh, the heck kit.
Including microphone.
Yeah.
And book from Steve Levine.
That's right.
Well, bugger that.
My son's got that one.
Yeah. It didn't work.
No.
But if it had worked, I mean, essentially it's the same program, and I think, what's going on now?
Do you find some youngsters that you work with might sort of sing a chorus and then wait, but I've done my part?
No, they wouldn't dare.
They wouldn't.
No.
You wouldn't. What's your view on the way orchestral recording has gone nowadays? Because when I listen to some modern recordings, I hear the lexicon preset, I hear the spot mics come in. It just sounds like they're in somebody's toilet.
It's horrible. Yeah. I mean, you listen to Radio 3, and time again, if it's whatever it is, CD review or whatever it is, or CD masters or whatever, I can't remember what the program is, the one Saturday morning, that one as well, they'll compare 4 versions of a piece of music, and invariably there's the classic one from 1958, and then there's the late 70s one, and then there's the first digital one in 1981 or 79 or something, and then there'll be the new version. And they always say, and of course the 1958 version is fantastic for all these reasons, and the sheer performance of it, blah blah, but the sound is a bit of a letdown compared to the latest digital. And I think I just disagree. I much prefer the 58 recording, thanks very much. I much prefer it.
Well, there's a recording of Mozart's Requiem by the SCO with Ruckers conducting, which you
I was on, I remember it.
That's just such an amazing...
It was a good record, I won a lot of...
Very
some awards,
aggressive cellos, in the Dies Irae, where the sound is normally so confused. You've got each individual part coming out. It's almost like...
But you hear that, if you stand in front of them, you hear that. But a cross pair never hears that.
No.
It's annoying. I wish it did.
So how do you achieve that with something like that coming? Because Rex Tremendi, I mean, you've got the choir going, you've got the basses. How do you cut the boom on an orchestral recording like that?
Well, I again, you record it in a good room, a big, that was the Usher Hall.
Right.
Was it? Yes, it was the Usher Hall. Yes.
And did you use time delay mics? Did you measure the whole?
I think we'll have done a bit of that at the time. I can't remember, to be honest, but almost certainly we'll have done some of it. But that's a nice room to record. I've done a lot of records there. So is the Kurt Hall in Dundee. There's a Benjamin Britten record I did there. You've heard that?
And when you record things like, the string sections and so on, are you very careful with the low end spill?
Not at all. No. I mean, if it sounds wrong at the time, I'll move the mic until it's right. That's for sure. But we'll start off with either a space pair or a deck of tree, and 2 outriggers for the strings, and then we'll move in from there. That's the basic sound, and a couple of DPA 4041s, the large diaphragm ones out in the room for the ambience, and then we'll move in, zone in on everyone. Pair on the woodwind, something maybe deeper, something on the second, something on the viola, something on the cellos, something on the basses, horns, and so on. I mean, every section will be mic'd up, but it's surprising how much of the sound will just be the pair, the tree, and the outs, the outriggers, and the rest of it is just a little bit, just a bit. Is your style of recording an orchestra affected? Because I asked you this question because you've also recorded the SCO with Svensson conducting, and the sound is, to me, completely different. Well, that's the conductor.
Yeah. So, I mean, was that in the same hall?
Usher Hall. Yeah, absolutely. Svensson would be conducting and playing, of course.
Yeah.
Was that the...
Well, there's a very fine Brahms violin.
Oh, yeah, lovely. Yeah. But, I mean, it's different. And when the soloist is conducting, it's different anyway.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Macaris is magnificent. Just unbelievable.
And, I mean, do you ever find that the producers, or maybe the conductor, I mean, I get the impression sometimes that these, that possibly there's a classical session and there's the guy sitting there at the desk and someone says, it's not big enough, Charles, can you make it bigger? And, you can just see the guy reaching up to the...
That's what happens.
To the lexicon.
Oh, not to the lexicon. No, but I mean, Sir Charles will come in and say, this is not big enough, the strings are not big enough. And you're going, okay, right.
So what would you do then? Because I know you don't reach for the reed.
We go out and we move mics mostly. Right. And it's hard to get it, but we'll bring up the room, that's for sure, to give it a bit of bloom. I love the DPAs, are great ambient mics, beautiful. Yeah. And that's what we use. That's what all the ambience on all those records is, to give it the kind of the whole, the big picture. And more of that helps straight away. Most of it is in the playing, of course.
Yeah.
It's up to them. If they make a great sound, you generally get a great sounding record. And that's honestly, is 90% of it. You know, the strings, every time we start making a record, for instance with the SCO, the first session, it'll be thin, not there. You know, we're not getting it right, the sound's not good. A couple of hours in, and it's all happening. And what have we done? I might have moved the mic a few inches or something, but it's not that. It made any difference. They're just playing properly.